I'm Sean from Voices of Defiance, a podcast member of the GonnaGeek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm Ferris. Can I be an agent?
I don't know. See, the rest of us have gone through all this training, and we all have badges, and I don't know.
Do you have a lanyard?
I don't have a lanyard.
I don't know. That's even tougher.
Well, let's see how I do.
Okay. Do a little trial here?
Please.
Okay. Hey, welcome everybody to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. This is podcast number 78 on Daredevil, Season 1, Episode 4, In the Blood. This podcast is recorded on Wednesday, June 10th, 2015. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Agent Carter, Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix, and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because you embarrassed me!
If you'd like to talk to us about being embarrassed, you can reach us on our website, legendsofshield.com. We have a voicemail line, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and YouTube by searching for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. And if you'd like to get into a little more in-depth conversation, you can find our forums at forums.gonnageek.com, or you can search for GonnaGeek on the Tapatalk app.
Today on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to welcome Ferris in. We're going to talk about Daredevil in the Blood. We have a new segment. We'll call it Neil's Mighty Marvel Moment. We're going to talk about Chloe Bennet's Comicpalooza Panel. We're going to talk about your weekly Marvel news and your feedback. Ferris, it's so good to have you on another podcast. I miss you so much, man.
I'm just trying to make the city a better place.
If that's
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
You are always welcome. Always, always. And are you a basketball fan? I don't think you are, but
I don't believe in basketball.
I didn't think so.
I have irrational, psychotic reasons for that. I don't say anybody else should believe so, but I don't believe in it.
So you've got all this mass chaos going on around you right now, and you just couldn't care less.
It is exciting, but I'm a Pittsburgh guy, so being in Cleveland City, it's hard to get invested in it emotionally,
Okay.
But there is a certain titillating zeitgeist to it.
And for those of you not in the know, what we're talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers, which Ferris lives approximately by, are actually in the NBA Finals right now. So that's what we're talking about. But Ferris, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, not a long-time listener, first-time caller. Long-time running buddy of Stargate Pioneer. I guess I've been on a couple of his other podcasts over the years. I write a little bit. If you're on the internet, I have an exceptionally poor webcomic that nobody seems to think is funny except me, and I can't think of a better reason to do it.
Art's all for you, right?
Yeah, but I'm a lifelong comics fan. I'm a Marvel guy. I'm a Batman guy at heart, but Marvel is where I call home. And Daredevil is the superhero on-film experience that I have been waiting my entire life for. No exaggeration, no lie. It's been 40 years of bitter disappointments up until recent Marvel productions. And Marvel, I think, is doing something amazing with Daredevil. And I'm very excited to be here to talk about it.
Yes, it is exciting, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, the writer for this episode, we're talking about In the Blood here, which is the 4th episode in the Daredevil Netflix series, which is amazing, as you said. And we have Joe Polkaski, I believe, was the writer for the episode.
Try it with a Russian accent.
Polskak. Well, no, that's not going to work either.
That was really good.
There
that was
were
impressive.
some letters in there that I'm not sure are letters in any language.
It's Joe Polkaski. We were kings of Moscow.
There you go. There you go. I knew somebody would save me. And
Now he write TV show.
well, he wrote some Heroes episodes, so that's pretty cool.
Such is life.
We can't hold that against him. That was a long time ago.
I think he wrote some good Heroes episodes, though, before the show went all weird.
Yeah, before the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was directed by, and we were looking at this guy's IMDb filmography. Oh, it's amazing. Ken Garati. And wow, just lately, The Vikings and Orphan Black, but you take a look at his filmography, it goes all the way back to 1984, and there are some good shows in there. There's a lot of geek shows, too, like Warehouse 13. There is Stargate SG-1. He did about 3 episodes of that. It is just amazing.
Y'all, this guy directed some episodes of Tech Wars, okay?
Ooh.
Which, the reason I'm familiar with that is because I remember when I was a little geekling wandering around the Barnes & Noble and seeing William Shatner's Tech Wars on the shelves.
Yeah, that's, I never actually saw that, but that would be awesome to see. And these guys, I mean, this episode, we keep saying it, this whole series is great, right? This episode was great in its own right, had a few great things. And one thing I want to point out right away is the continuing thread. It's all continuing, right? But the continuing thread between Karen Page and Ben Urich. And
So good.
yeah, it was amazing because they haven't dropped it, right? It's the same thing over and over again, or the thread that's working through, and she hasn't signed her agreement yet, and he tells her to do that, and she is continuing the investigation regardless of what Ben actually tells her. But Ben does warn her, the people that have made his successful stories possible have ended up dead. He's trying to warn her. This is serious business. And I think if she didn't get it before when they were trying to kill her, I think she got it again.
You know, it's interesting with Urich. I recently bought a subscription to Marvel Now, which is basically Spotify for comic books. You pay them $10 a month and you can read pretty much most of everything that Marvel has ever done, all you want. So I'm right now tearing through the 1980s Frank Miller issues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good stuff. If you've heard that it's good stuff, you have not been ill-informed.
So you didn't start in 1963 like Haley?
I thought
should've.
about it, but I want to get to some of the more recent stuff, you know?
Okay.
But if you look at
faster.
Urich in the comics, I mean, he's a white guy being drawn comic book style 30 plus years ago. And if you look at the TV show and if you look at the actor playing him, Vondi Curtis Hall, if you look at him, I mean, that's Ben Urich. I mean, you look at the comic books and you think that's Vondi Curtis Hall. You look at Vondi Curtis Hall, you think that's the guy from the comic books. And they don't really look anything alike. And even the glasses aren't quite similar, but just something about Vondi does this amazing job of channeling that character. And
He does.
even though it's two such different things, I mean, the essence of it is there. And that's the guy, that's the character. And oh my gosh, he's good.
Yeah.
Well, they modernized it, right?
Well, yes, but I've been working my way through. I ended up buying a bunch of Daredevil comics and bundles on sale a while back from Comixology.
That was why I
And-
bought Marvel Unlimited, so I wouldn't wind up dropping a ton of money on Daredevil comics.
That's why I get them on sale. But yeah, it's so interesting going back and seeing, reading the ones from like the 70s. Like right now yesterday I was just lying flat on the couch because
So you literally did start in the 60s?
No, I didn't start in the 60s, but it's this one, it's this team up with Daredevil and Spider-Man that Frank Miller drew, but Bill Mantlo wrote.
Yeah, it took a little time before Miller took the reins as a writer.
Yeah. And you just kind of see the dialogue's a little hokey because, it's the 70s, but you see the Daredevil that we know from the TV show and you see him in there. And I really like that despite the whole trying to keep it, the realism of it and everything, they haven't really lost, I think, the core of that character.
Yeah, it's funny, like no matter what era you pick up, it seems to me that they always have like similar stories and the same characters, but it's always fresh. I mean, at no point do I pick them up and flip through and think, they kind of did that before.
Oh, it's so good.
And I think that the show is this amazing amalgam of, like, I didn't know until it was over that Rosario Dawson's character was not from the comics. I guess she's not.
Well,
But she-
technically she sort of is.
Yeah, Night Nurse, right?
Yeah, but I think she was given the same role, but a new name.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
she can really hiss too. Oh my gosh.
Well, have you ever seen, oh my God. Okay, so I went to watch that Alexander movie that came out in about 2004
Why would you do
The
that?
one with what's his name?
with Colin Farrell. Yes, I know.
Yes, him.
'Cause
Wow.
I was all about Alexander the Great and, Greek mythology and all that when I was
That
a
is not
kid.
what that movie was all about.
That was not what that movie was all about, no. But me and my best friend went to go see it. And the best part of that movie was Rosario Dawson. But there was this one scene where she and Colin Farrell were having really awkward role-playing lion sex. And there was hissing. And that's what that reminded me of.
Can there ever be awkward lion sex? I don't think so. Because they're lions.
Can there be any other type of lion sex?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
When
no,
people are
it's-
having it? I
it's
mean, come on.
awkward. It's just awkward.
It was weird.
Now, we can all agree that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we can all agree that Rosario Dawson, awesome as she is and kicking the amount of ass she did in Daredevil, was still underutilized in this first season, correct?
Yes.
She was confirmed as a regular for the second season too, though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
she's
she's
gonna
going to be
be-
in probably all the shows.
That's what I've heard, that she's going to be kind of the linking thread between them, just kind of hopping in and out. And
the
yes,
glue.
give me that. Give me all of the Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, full disclosure, I think if she had like half of Daredevil every episode, I think I'd still be complaining that they didn't do enough with her. So yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, so Daredevil's been a slow build in the 13 episodes that they have. And some characters like Rosario Dawson's Claire character, I think are just going to pop out. I mean, and Elektra is supposedly cast for the second season too, and we don't see
Really?
any of her. Yeah.
I hadn't
Well,
heard.
there's rumors that there was a leak of an audition script for Elise, but it's very clear from the dialogue that if this is an actual audition script, this is Elektra.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for season 2. It's going to be great. I mean, there's so much more awesome to come up with. We've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. coming up this fall. We've got the Ant-Man movie, yay, later this summer. And we've got 10 episodes of Agent Carter confirmed now. I mean, there's just so much. And Jessica Jones coming. It's just, it's great. So I'm not hurting for content right now, basically. I'm just awaiting the further deluge of awesomeness that's coming our way.
I still have not, and this is probably a bad place to confess this, but I feel I should be honest and take what's coming to me. I still have not watched the second half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2.
Oh, you're missing out, man.
Get out.
You really are.
That's what they say. But Daredevil was so good, I kind of started that and I wasn't thinking about anything else. And I was striking this balance the whole time between I want to watch it all and I don't want it to be over. I want to save some.
Yeah. Well,
I understand that.
we couldn't save it because we were podcasting week to week, but also we knew we were going to savor Daredevil because we all watched it like back to back to back to back when it first came out. And then we're like, okay, it's okay. We're going to watch it week by week, which is great. I love savoring this week by week because this episode, they all start melding together after a while. It's just one span of 13-hour awesomeness back to back. And by us actually taking I'll call it a slow watch, as we're actually only watching one episode each week, it is more awesome this way. I really enjoyed it. Did it last week, did it this way. I mean, for the last 4 weeks, just been watching one a week. And we've discussed it before that this is the way that we wanted to do it for our second watch. And it's been amazing. So I really enjoy that. Like, for instance, how this episode starts off, right? Where they're in the prison in Russia. And it took me the second watch right now to really realize what happened is that the Alexi's body was left in the prison cell so that they could see the rats eat it, but they turned it around, and as soon as the rats kind of ate a little bit of his chest, they were like, oh, we can use the ribs as weapons.
The episode's first poor judgment call by a Russian.
They're just really, I mean, you have Vladimir, who is way too impulsive, and you have Anatoly, who's just way too comfortable. And neither of them is real. I'd say, under better circumstances, under other circumstances, they'd balance each other out. But in these circumstances, really, it just doesn't work for them at all.
Yeah, well, they even talk about it, right? They said, when we had nothing, we agreed on everything. But now it's totally
They've lost
different.
their way in this land of everything.
Yeah, it's very poetic. And the first time I watched it through, I didn't realize what was going on. They were changing the name of the cab company at the beginning so that they could isolate themselves from any attempt at finding out who they were, I didn't understand that Vela's taxi was from something else, right? Or was that Kitchen Cab at the beginning? No, I can't remember. Because they got Kitchen Cab.
They bought out, the Prohaska guy, I guess, previously owned Kitchen Cab. So now it's theirs, so now it's Vela's cabs.
Okay, so they were just taking over that second company at the beginning? They weren't changing their name to Hyde? See, I thought they were changing their name to Hyde, but...
No, they just got the cabs.
Yeah, SP is wrong again. Go figure.
Gypsy Cab? No, that was Royal Tenenbaums. That's my fab.
Good series. All right, so at the beginning, again, Daredevil throws that body on the cab. Was that a dead guy, or did he live, do you think?
Plausible deniability with that one.
Because he doesn't kill people.
Well, does he?
Oh, hasn't so far.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he'll only drop a fire extinguisher from like 8 stories up, right? And the guy's still living.
That guy's still alive, sort of.
And then he throws him off the roof again. It's like, this guy. And then this guy wakes up in the hospital and his buddies pump him full of ephedrine.
Like adrenaline, yeah.
Right into his chest cavity. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Watch Pulp Fiction a few too many times. Never a good idea.
And then isn't the guy like in traction on his arm or whatever? It's just hanging there.
Oh yeah, no, they take the stabilizer thing off of his arm and just kind of throw it on the bed, and just real good buddies, those two.
Oh geez. Yeah, that's great. Let's face it, there's nothing good that happens to any of these villains throughout the entire... I mean, if you're a bad guy, you have a bloody death coming at you.
You know, I love what they did with the Russians. They spend so much time with them in these early episodes. And as a viewer, we're just wading into the world, so we don't know who is who and what's what and who will become what. So we get so invested in these Russians that we assume they're going to be around forever, as far as we know. And for at least one of them, that is not the case.
I know I've brought this up a billion times, but I'm in the middle of a Dragon Age 2 replay. So every time Anatoly opens his mouth, I'm like, hee, Fenris. All y'all need to play Dragon Age 2. I mean, just play the Dragon Age games in general, but Birdie Pants Elf, come on.
Talking about people saying cool stuff, Wesley is talking to the Russians, and every time Wesley talks, we've talked about it before, there is no wasted dialogue in this whatsoever. I don't care what language it is, there is no wasted dialogue. So Wesley's talking to them in the garage saying, well, basically, you guys don't have your crap together and we're going to take over. You'll still get rich, you still get your money, you're just not going to be in charge. This is not going to be your thing anymore. And of course, they don't like that, whatever. But he says, so this guy, he's just another man, right? It's not like he has an iron suit or a magic hammer.
Yeah. Hashtag it's all connected.
Yeah. Wesley's great, right?
I really do. Seriously. One of the things that I like about the series is that I really liked a bunch of the bad guys in it. I liked Wesley. I liked Madame Gao. I even liked freaking Wilson Fisk.
Yeah, I mean, they did such a brilliant job with making you feel for him before he really did anything. Well, nah, that's not exactly the case. But you empathize with him.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to go kind of to the end, but I just want to kind of savor it for a second.
Well, here's a diversion for you. We were talking about the director. We were talking about the writer. Lauren, you were a big Spartacus fan, correct?
Oh, yes.
As am I. As I watch this, I'm curious what Stephen S. DeKnight's contributions were to this, because I know he didn't start it and he came in and he finished it, and I'm not questioning it. Whatever he did was awesome, and he's awesome, and this is great, and this is some of my favorite superhero stuff ever. But I'm curious, like, what his role was in this and, like, what his contributions were.
I'm betting it's something along the lines of having the good vision for it, like what to look for. I think he's a kind of a visual director. If you look at his work on Spartacus and things like that, I mean, Spartacus is basically a moving comic book. They say as much in the commentary for the first season, and as the show goes on, you see it more and more. So he knows how to get the look of a really, really gritty fight scene. And I think that it's probably finding people who have a similar vision. So he'd probably be somebody to tap directors who have a similar sense of aesthetics and that sort of thing.
It definitely worked well. I did take a look at the full list of directors and writers, and other than the first 2 episodes, there's not really a pair. They haven't done the production in pairs, right? So it's a different writer-director for each after the first 2. So yeah, I would say that he did a marvelous job at stringing that all together. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, coming out of the Joss Whedon school, of course, he knows how to pull at your heartstrings and make you have the feels that nobody else does. The Spartacus was such an awesome show. I still don't think it gets credit for being a unique and unprecedented and real high point of action kick-assness on TV.
It really doesn't.
It was so above and beyond anything that came before or since. I mean, it's just hard to
and it wasn't
hold
just
in your
the
mind
action.
that quantum.
It was the emotion behind it too. I mean, there's only been 2 shows that have ever made me cry so much that I was actually dehydrated. It was Battlestar Galactica and it was the Spartacus finale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really overwhelming stuff. I'm not, for the record here, I'm not crying. It's allergy season, so I'm not getting pissy about the idea of anything.
You're not crying, it's just the bringer of rain.
Yeah, exactly. My junk rage is on. Gannicus, no!
So the whole thing with Foggy and the butcher thing, and did I ever tell you I was supposed to be a butcher? That was an excellent use of his character in this episode. Rather than just leaving him on the sideline, it actually brought forward some backstory to him.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for callbacks. That's one of the things I loved about Avengers, too. Just that one little running gag of, didn't see that one coming. I love that stuff.
Well, Wilson Fisk, there's so much backstory in this episode. Once you watch it again and then you know what happens in the next 9 episodes, you're watching it going, wow, so that's what he means. Like at 12 years old, he left and went to go live with relatives, right? And you find out why later.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was thinking, oh, it's because he was a problem child. You come back later, you're like, yeah, no, that's not it at all.
Yeah, I thought something bad happened out on the farm. No, that was at a different point.
So the whole interaction with Vanessa and Wilson Fisk, the flirting, it was flirting, right?
It was definitely flirting. And again, it's so awkward, but sweet.
Haley, what did you think about that?
This is the part where, I watched Spider-Man as a kid, the cartoon, and that Wilson Fisk was so much more confident than this one. So this episode in particular was one where it was hard for me to reconcile those 2 different characters I had in my head already.
Okay.
And that just the flirting is one of the things that really stood out as not the Wilson Fisk from Spider-Man.
Yeah, Wilson Fisk through the Marvel Universe has a kind of weird character or weird, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, in the comics, he's almost this superhuman giant like the Juggernaut. He's got this not only superhuman size, but in different comic books, you see him beating up 9 ninjas at a time, and he's a master of martial arts and, borderline mutant, one could guess. And that's obviously not quite here, but he is quite the badass in this too.
Yeah.
I really do love that. And I think it's something that we've talked about before, but just as we're seeing the beginning of Daredevil, we're seeing the beginning of the Kingpin as a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. This was the first time we see the full power of Wilson Fisk.
And we're seeing the 2 sides of the coin, and they have the same motives. It's just they're going about it the different ways. And I love that whole parallelism that's going on throughout the show.
Yeah, and like we talked about the empathy before, if they had made the tradition to just make him the traditional badass Kingpin, I don't know how much we would have felt for him. I don't know if they had written it the same way with a different characterization of him, I don't know how well this series would have worked. I mean, it still would have been good, but it wouldn't have been giving us the interesting parallels that you mentioned.
I don't think it would have been quite the emotional ride that it was. I mean, yeah, you're rooting for Matt the whole way through. You're rooting for the good guys the whole way through. But then at the same time, you kind of find yourself rooting for Fisk a lot of the way through.
Yeah, until you really figure out his motivations.
Until, of course, you find out at the very end when, they inevitably meet up and everything. But especially when it comes to Fisk and Vanessa, you're just kind of like, I want these 2 to get together and work everything out. I mean, I just want them to be happy. And of course, they're never going to be really happy because that he's a bad guy and
they're good
it's kind
for
of a
each
foregone
other.
conclusion.
They're good for each other. I'd like a lot how Vanessa likes what he has to offer. I mean, she obviously, as she says, she's had her choice of other wealthy and powerful men. But as Kingpin, in that wonderful piece of characterization, says, well, a woman who can be bought is not worth having.
I have that written down. It's my one quote of the episode.
And that's so great. But I mean, Vanessa knows what he's about, certainly by the end of the next episode, she knows exactly what he's about. But
I love that she also knows what she's about. She's through the whole series, but especially here, she's just like, yeah, I know what I want. This guy's interesting to me and I'm going to go for it. And then we see her later on again with the whole, she knows what she wants and she's going to keep going for it.
And she, much like a lot of the other, women cast in the show, I mean, she's not supermodel, like a paradigm of hotness, but just, I love that they cast somebody who's a realistic looking woman. There's nothing about her that would make you necessarily stop and stare in the street, but by being herself and being confident and being somebody like you might actually meet somewhere in real life, I mean, that makes her great.
Yeah. I was approaching this episode from the Vanessa point of view of what is she actually seeing in this guy? Because it took me a long time to accept them as a couple, accept anybody as wanting to be with Wilson. And I think she's just intrigued. I think it's just attractive to her, this man who has this certain noir side to him, I guess.
Yeah, I think she sees the potential in him.
Yeah, and there is a good chemistry there. I mean, you see that they clearly are pushing buttons on each other, not intentionally, but they both are under each other's skin and they're both intrigued and they pursue it.
So, Ferris, you had a favorite part of the episode, which is in the taxi garage.
Yes.
Right?
Let me preface that by saying, you've heard me say this before, but Daredevil to me is, as a lifelong, one of the first things I remember in my life is having a Batman beach towel. So I grew up watching the Batman TV show, and between Batman 66 reruns and Iron Man 1 was like 30 years of unbroken, shattering, soul-crushing superhero disappointments with film. I don't like most of the Batman movies, and I don't love the more recent ones. And every time a new major superhero movie would come out over the course of my whole life, well, not the Hulk. The Hulk was good. We can all agree with that on TV.
Oh, yeah.
But every time a new major superhero movie would come down the pike, I would get so excited for it, and I would walk away just unspeakably disappointed. I couldn't articulate how sad I was after the first Tim Burton Batman. And I realized I might be in a minority on that, but it didn't give me what I wanted, because part of what I want from action, from superheroes, is not just action. I mean, I want the action, I want the drama, but I want some ass to be kicked. I really want to see some people be pounded. I want to see that fastball special when I watch the X-Men. I want to see Colossus pick Wolverine up and twist him around and throw him like it's a pro wrestling match. I'm a pro wrestling fan. So my whole life, it's been one disappointing movie after the next. It took me a while to watch Iron Man 1 because I'd been disappointed so often, so many times. I thought, no, I just can't go through it anymore. They're going to mess it up. They always mess it up. So it took me a long time to watch that. And when I finally did, I thought, oh, well, this is right. They did it well. Okay, it can be done. And then when it came to Avengers, I applauded at the end of the movie. I was satisfied. But it wasn't until Captain America, the Winter Soldier, that I thought, this is it. I'm fully satisfied. This is what I've been waiting for always. Every little knee smash and gunfire and car chase and elbow to the face in that movie was like a little bit of balm on some scar deep inside of my soul. It's so good. I was literally getting tears in my eyes, just because it was so good when Captain America and Bucky were fighting in the streets. So that's my context for superhero movies. And Captain America Winter Soldier was the first one that truly satisfied me as a kick-ass action experience that had some visceral impact to it. I mean, Avengers, Iron Man, good movies, great big screen action, but Captain America was action and violence that I could feel in my bones. And coming to the point, Daredevil built on that. I was expecting some rated PG violence here. I knew that Stephen S. DeKnight would deliver good violence. I didn't know how exactly, but I was not prepared for how good this is.
I was expecting some boobies.
We didn't get any, did we?
No, we got tasteful side boob, and that was
you see, now we have someplace we can go in season 2.
And abs with oozing gut wounds.
And butts.
Butts. Not enough butts.
Yeah.
So Daredevil was what I've been waiting for my whole life. To me, this was the first time it really felt like a comic book. I mean, the episodic nature of it, of being able to watch something that is damn near half a movie or 2/3 of a movie, and then it's over and it was satisfying, and then there's another one, and then there's another one, and then you can go back and rewatch it again. Like, this to me was the comic book experience fully delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And, part of it, I thought, as I was watching this series, I was watching a lot of it and just pretending it was Bruce Wayne there instead of Matt Murdock.
I have a question for Ferris.
Yes.
How many of these episodes did you watch in a sitting?
No more than 2.
Okay.
I was seriously rationing it out. Like, this is so good. I never want this to end. I'm so happy.
I honestly probably would have done the same thing had we not had the podcast to do the next week on just general impressions, right?
Oh, no,
So
I'm a binger.
Yeah, so I took the Friday off so that I would have enough time to actually watch it through. And then, Ferris, just to counter what you're saying, not to discount it at all, because I was not a comic book fan. If I was a comic book fan going into this whole Marvel Avengers thing, I would probably have your same viewpoint. But I was bought in with the flashy tech of Iron Man. I continued that on with the ensemble of Avengers. I thought it was very tastefully done for an entertainment standpoint, but I will agree. You got that merging of the superhero sort of flashy stuff and then the ground pounding stuff that eventually became Daredevil in Captain America Winter Soldier. I think you definitely saw that. The elevator scene, for example, was a good depiction of
I
that.
have goosebumps now. You said elevator scene.
Well, we talked about the hallway fight scene a couple episodes ago, so that was pretty cool too.
I took to Twitter. I still occasionally do repeatedly take to Twitter and just type hallway scene, hallway scene.
So in this particular scene that we were talking about in the taxicab basement, though, it ends very abruptly, right? You don't expect this ending, where Clara actually takes the aluminum bat and smashes the guy's head.
I remembered this scene as being a lot longer and more drawn out than it was. I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and I could have sworn that they cut to the scene like 6 times and that she'd been graphically tortured in front of our eyes. And that was not the case, but damn if they didn't create that impression.
I don't remember that, but for some reason, I thought I remembered her like beating the guy's head in 4 or 5 times. So,
well, that was probably confusing with what Wilson did at the end of the episode.
So I think we all just kind of, I don't know, it's like that thing from Psycho where your imagination kind of makes it worse than it was.
Yeah, I mean, the violence is so, and again, we don't really see her being beat up, but the way she's made up so well, and she's not worried about looking pretty. I mean, she's awesome. And that's part of what makes her so awesome is that she's not always primping and preening. She's just cool and she's got presence.
Well, she is depicted as had been brutally beaten, right? And you can tell that she was going to start losing some bones in her legs or knees or something with that bat pretty soon. So Matt comes along just at the right time. And that whole fight scene, by the way, I watched this the second time through in my new workout room home theater. So I got surround sound down there. I actually turned off the lights and was watching it the whole time. And it's an amazingly shot piece. And the sound that goes with it is incredible. And it's a good fight scene that you really don't see any fight. You hear a lot of guns going off, but you don't really see Matt and how he's moving around. You do see Claire squirming. You see her going for that piece of whatever it is, shrapnel or whatever, to cut herself free.
You know what this scene reminds me of?
What's that?
Whenever you watch in a movie where there's like an alien loose in a facility and one by one people are getting picked off, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, he starts in the shadows and kind of slowly circles his way in.
Yeah, he's like a monster, the boogeyman.
And instead of like the alien claws jutting out, flash of the fangs, like you see like the big rope or cable, whatever it was.
Right, so he knows what his advantage is. His advantage is he can see in the dark and they can't. So he shuts off the lights. I don't know if he just shuts out the breakers or cuts the electric or whatever, but he shuts off the lights so they can't see him. And they're deafened by all the shots going on in there. So you can't really hear if you're shooting automatic weapons in a small enclosed space, which I guess would impact Matt a little bit, but we just don't see that. And then they turn on these taxi cab lights. If you've ever been in the dark somewhere, inside a building specifically, and you turn on headlights, you're only going to see in one direction. And it's going to be about 10 feet in front of that car, and you're going to be blinded to everything else going around you. So he has set that up to his advantage, and he's able to take them out one by one, basically, towards the end.
And it's so masterfully done. I mean, just those little flashes of things, the tire iron that gets down.
When that tire iron just hits that guy out of nowhere, I laughed, but at the same time, it looked like it hurt.
Absolutely. And his voice, I mean, again, with this being more Batman than Batman, it's not what's his face going, I'm Daredevil. He has a little bit gruff and
it's just a little bit gravelly and kind of quiet, and it works.
And that's what Batman does. Batman works in the shadows and just slowly picks you apart, and you're powerless to stop. And that's what he does here. I mean, this is the best Batman scene ever filmed.
And it goes beyond the fight scene, which is incredible too. But he takes care of her, and at the very end, they're discussing whether he should continue or not, because people that he likes are being hurt, like Claire, like Santonio. I got that right this time. They're getting hurt because he's doing what he's doing, and then she's just convincing him. Go figure. SP just can't get a name right to save his life.
That's why we love you.
Yeah. So he's telling her that, and she's trying to convince him that, hey, look, somebody's got to stand up. And he finally ends it and basically is agreeing with her by telling her his real name. The same thing that she was just going to get killed for like an hour before. He makes sure she knows what she was hiding or what she was fighting for. So that was pretty good. He didn't tell her his full name. He didn't say,
oh, hi, I'm Matt Murdock and I live at this place and this is where I work and this is my zodiac sign and blah, blah, blah.
Well, later on that could happen. And in the comics, it does not work out well for her. It doesn't work out well for anybody. No spoilers.
Well, no, Matt Murdock has a poison dick.
Good to know.
Well, tell me I'm wrong.
Before we move on from the taxi garage, that wonderful, wonderful line, put the gun down or I promise you'll never hold anything in that hand again.
Yeah. Every single line of dialogue. It's just so masterfully put together.
And out of all the violence in that, I mean, the Russians and Daredevil throwing things and Daredevil breaking a guy's arm or pulverizing it. What's the most memorable piece of violence in that? As you mentioned, coming out of nowhere. You think Daredevil's about to crack open the last of his 6-pack of whoop ass, and who comes through with the ball bat? Claire. Bang! Ooh.
Yeah. And he can't argue with it. Nope. It's what had to happen. So I have 3 notes left. You guys have anything major that you want to talk about?
About Anatoly getting his head popped off like a 6-pack of beer?
That was pretty graphic.
In my country, interrupting in restaurant is not considered so, how do you say? It is not a big deal.
He doesn't see it come. Okay, I got a question for you because I was thinking this as the fight was occurring on my second watch through. So he's taken from the car and Wilson starts beating on him, right? And he starts fighting back. Do you think that Wilson would have killed him if he didn't fight back?
Oh, yeah. No, he definitely would have. He just might not have killed him so graphically.
And Wilson seemed a little carried away at that point.
Wesley didn't even flinch when that blood splattered on him either.
No. And I love the foreshadowing of tell him I need a new suit. I forget the guy's name.
That was one of the 3 notes that I had left. Fisk has armor. Yep. That's the only way that he survived this fight is because he had the tactical advantage of having a suit with armor.
Well, he is a bad dude.
If only somebody had told Daredevil that he should get some armor.
I know, right?
Yeah, how's that working for you? Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was definitely great. And he just didn't see it coming at all. He was like, okay, we're all good now. We're going to bow down to him and
Yoink.
We're just going to... Yeah.
And they give that little reference to Melvin Potter there, the gladiator.
Mm-hmm.
Who, depending on...
That's it. That's the guy's name. Tell Mr. Potter I need a new suit.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And in the Marvel comics in the 80s, he wasn't always depicted so well. I mean, I like what they're doing with him better than what they did in many of the comics.
Yeah, I still remember when they announced him as one of the cast members, we were looking at it, we were like, what the hell are they going to do with this guy?
Yeah, they certainly, I mean, all the characters, I just like watching.
So do you think he was the gladiator at some point? I mean, if he has
maybe
brain
he got, like,
damage
that
it looks like, who can say? I hope they come back to him.
Yeah, a few too many headshots or something.
I'm trying to remember what Wesley calls the Daredevil. He calls him like the masked idiot or something like that. Yeah, the
masked idiot.
Yeah. So clearly no respect yet, but that will change. Also, the dessert came out, which was like the last dessert that he had when his dad was killed later on. Spoilers. What's the name of that dessert? I don't have that written down. The child's party dessert that they were going to have in the restaurant.
I can't remember.
I'm sure somebody will
I got distracted by freaking Anatoly running his mouth.
I know. That was a very stupid move.
It really was. I mean, you don't just bust in on someone at dinner like that. I mean, I thought it was just common sense. You don't talk business at dinner.
Especially when they're with family.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, we've all seen The Godfather, right? Haley?
No.
Ah!
You knew the answer to that before.
Don't act surprised.
Before you asked the question. All right. And the last note that I have, I'm sure you guys have other ones, but the last note that I have is that Ben says to Karen that she is not credible and that he has looked into her past. And I don't remember that being explored in the rest of the series.
It wasn't, but in the comics, I know in the more recent comics, was it Kevin Smith or Frank Miller? One of them wrote her as a drug-addicted prostitute.
I think porn enters the picture at some point as well.
But yeah, Karen Page does not have a happy ending. And I'm wondering if that's going to be explored in season 2. Like maybe she had a past as a drug addict, cam girl or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Foggy's going to take it really hard whenever it happens. So.
I don't know it well. I mean, this is just all based on watching a little bit of reality TV. But there are certain things in her body language that indicate recovery. I'm trying to think of things from this episode. Ordering the decaf coffee, but pouring a ton of sugar to it. Did anybody else pick up on stuff like that, or am I just...
I haven't.
I didn't, but now that you mention it, I'm going to have to start looking for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ferris for the win. All right, we got a lot of other stuff to talk about. Is there anything else that you guys want to say about this episode?
We talked about Anatoly's head popping off, so no.
Okay. Haley?
I think that's the most important thing to discuss, and that's been done, so.
Yeah. Ferris?
This is how you do it, folks. Stephen S. DeKnight, wherever you are, thank you so much. And everybody else, director and writer. And I never knew that Charlie Cox was really a blind ninja. I didn't pick up on that in his previous roles, but I guess he is.
Oh, he's not saying Stephen S. DeKnight wherever you are because he's dead. He's saying it because we don't physically know where he's at the moment. Like he's probably hanging out on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, he left. He's going to write Transformers now. Did you see that, Starfire?
Yeah, I did. I don't know what to think about that.
Well, anything's better than the Michael Bay crap that's been out there right now. I swore if Michael Bay did another I have sworn that I will never see another Michael Bay movie. He's ruined it too much for me. I will not do it. All right. Well, this was a great episode. We're going to talk about season 1, episode 5 next time, and it's all going to be good. So are you guys ready to move on?
Yep.
I am.
Alrighty, we have had several requests to talk more in depth about the weekly review in Marvel Comics. So we initiated some conversation with fellow GonnaGeek podcaster Neil. You can find him every week on the Legends podcast, but he sent us a little tidbit. And are you guys ready to hear what he has to say about Marvel Comics?
Yep.
Bring it on.
Hi, true believers. Neil here with your Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel moment, covering new releases from the week of June 3rd, 2015. On the shelves this week, we have a combination of Secret Wars and pre-Secret Wars titles. For those of you who are not in the comics loop, Marvel and DC took very different strategies with their summer mashup events this year. DC effectively ended all their books when the Convergence event launched. However, Marvel is letting ongoing stories finish with their current arcs on their original release timelines. So, even though we're on week 3 of Secret Wars, we still have a bunch of stories which take place before the end of the 616 and Ultimate Universes. Confused yet? Good. Let's get into it. From pre-Secret Wars, this week we have some really good titles. All New X-Men number 41 has the original X-Men being dispatched by S.H.I.E.L.D. to investigate Utopia, where they find some unexpected residents. This is the final all-new X-Men issue leading up to Uncanny X-Men 600 and Secret Wars, and it's a really solid goodbye issue for Brian Michael Bendis, as this surprisingly good title wraps up. Spider-Woman number 8 wraps up Jessica's first arc in her solo title and drives home the relationship between Jessica and Ben Urich, which is especially poignant because of the current Daredevil rewatch that's going on. If you haven't been reading Spider-Woman, this first arc is going to make a great trade, so you definitely want to check this out. Superior Iron Man wraps up the Tony Stark is a symbiote jerkface storyline, with Tony facing off against AI Tony and Pepper Potts in the new and improved rescue armor. Again, this is the final Superior Iron Man issue before Secret Wars, and it underscores that the Tony of the 616 universe has really fallen in the eyes of Pepper and the rest of the world. It's a good thing the world is ending. The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl number 6. Okay, if you're looking for something light and full of heart, that's family-friendly, with enough meta, self-referential one-liners to appeal to even adult readers, you should be reading Squirrel Girl. With all the heavy titles out there, Squirrel Girl is quickly moving to the top of a lot of pull lists. Wolverine's number 20 sees Mystique and Portal head to the Florida Everglades to face off against Man-Thing at the nexus of all realities, where she's faced with a really tough decision that basically sets up Secret Wars. Okay, personally I'm not a fan of the art, or the extended Wolverine is dead but there are a ton of Wolverines storyline. But if it's your thing, call in or hit me up in the forums and tell me what I'm missing. Groot number 1 is the debut story by Jeff Loveness with art by Brian Kessinger, and it's everything you would hope for in a continuation of the Rocket Raccoon storyline, with Groot and Rocket hitchhiking through the universe. The relationship between these two characters is everything you'd really hope for. Amazing Spider-Man number 18.1 also dropped this week, finishing up the Spiral Gang War storyline. Peter has to deal with Black Cat and the Wraith, both of whom he considers fundamentally good people who've made some pretty bad decisions. If you're a Black Cat fan, she has some great moments in this book, and the art is pretty wicked. Okay, now let's get into Secret Wars. Secret Wars number 3 dropped this week, and it's my pick of the week. We finally get some real backstory on how Doom ended up where he is, and why Doctor Strange is supporting him, and what happened to Reed Richards. All I can say is, that Reed Richards, he's so hot right now. We also catch up with the survivors from the Ultimate Universe after the showdown in Thor's number 1, and we finally get to see who survived from the 616. Spoiler alert, having Peter Parker and Miles Morales come face to face is always a blast. Armor Wars number 1 takes place in the domain of Technopolis, where Baron Tony Stark rules and Marshal Jim Rhodes of the Thors enforces the will of God and keeps the peace. It's a great first story with an empathetic Tony Stark and what seems like a healthy relationship with Pepper. Great art made this an insta-buy for me this week. Battle World number 2 is another great Secret Wars title, and it continues the format of 2 smaller short stories set in the Secret Wars universe. This week in the first story, we have Punisher imbued with all the powers of Doctor Strange facing off against Doom's elite hit team. In the second story, we have Blade and Howard the Duck teaming up to take on Count Duckula. Well, at least the Punisher story rocked. Now, for all you Hulk fans out there, Future Imperfect number 1 also came out this week, with the alternate timeline Hulk Maestro as the ruler of dystopia. Written by Peter David with art by Greg Land. Okay, say what you will about Land, but the art in this issue is actually pretty gorgeous. The original Future Imperfect is an iconic Hulk story, and it will be really interesting to see how the Secret Wars tie-in plays out as this story unfolds. Also out this week, we had 2 X titles drop. Extinction Agenda number 1, set in Genosha, and Years of Future Past number 1, set in a Sentinel-controlled Mutant Control Act dystopia. Fans of the X titles are really going to want to check these out, as the art in Years of Future Past and the call-outs to this classic 80s storyline and the most recent X-Men movie are all pretty awesome. Last but not least is Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 1 by Dan Slott with art by Adam Kubert. This Secret Wars tie-in takes place in a reality where MJ and Peter are still married and have a kid. It's effectively set in the early to mid-90s, and I personally love that Firestar from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends made a cameo when Spidey visits the Avengers Mansion. If you're nostalgic for some classic webhead, this may just scratch that itch. Oh, and I should mention that Battle World Master of Kung Fu number 2 also dropped this week, but I found it kind of confusing and it's not a title I've been following. That's it for new releases. Now let's dive into the long boxes, where we crack open the Mylar and look at a classic back issue. My long box pick of the week is a twofer this week. Avengers number 195 and 196 from 1980, with story by David Michelini and art by George Perez. Ahead of this summer's Ant-Man movie, I thought it might be fun to reread one of my favorite Ant-Man issues. This 2-issue arc focuses on Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym, and Scott Lang, otherwise known as Wasp, Yellow Jacket, and Ant-Man, working together to infiltrate the Solomon Institute, while the heavy hitters of the Avengers, including Carol Danvers, Vision, Wonder Man, Iron Man, Beast, and Cap, all hang back. It's a great highlight of what the shrinking superheroes can do, and it's the first appearance of a classic Avengers villain who is still around and kicking, and even takes part in one of the Secret Wars books that came out this week. And if you've ever wondered who supplies all the supervillains with their armies of underlings, then these 2 issues answer that question. So again, Avengers 1, number 195 and 196 from 1980. Hop onto Comixology or check out your local comic store for these back issues. That's it for this week, folks. If I've missed a release that came out, head over to the forums at forums.gonnageek.com and leave us a note and share your thoughts, or send in a voicemail to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. crew. Later, guys!
Wow, Neil, that was awesome.
That was cool. He should do that every week.
Pretty great.
Every week. You hear that, Neil? Every week. You're on the hook now, man. Got to keep up that. That's great.
Yeah, he didn't say 2 of the ones that I got this week, though. I got Miss Marvel Volume 3, Crushed. It came out in trade. And I got via Comixology X-Men 92 Infinite, number 2 of 8, which is a continuation of X-Men the Animated Series. And I think it's online only, but it's number 1 was pretty great so far. So I'm looking forward to reading number 2.
So I noticed that he, in his long boxes, went back to the 80s, and I'm wondering, Haley, have you made it to the 80s yet?
No. I'm still barely in the 70s.
All right.
I haven't started Ms. Marvel, but as I said, I just subscribed to Marvel Unlimited, and I was pulling it up. Like, I installed it on my older daughter's iPad, and I was flipping through the library to get to the Ms. Marvel issues to show her. And as I scrolled down and scrolled past it, before I could tell her what it was, she just saw it and said, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yes. No, it's fantastic. It's an all ages title. I'd recommend it for maybe mid-teens and up. And it's pretty fantastic, and everyone needs to read it now.
And I've just seen little snippets of Squirrel Girl, and that unfortunately is not available on Marvel Unlimited. Not the last time I checked. But,
yeah, that one I'm waiting for the trade.
That.
Well, do you guys have any other comic specific things you like to talk about before we get to Chloe?
Nope.
All right.
If you don't have Marvel Unlimited, drop $10 on it. Or if you don't want to spend money, don't. Because if you drop the $10 on it for a month, you'll be hooked forever. It is so awesome. 98% of everything Marvel has ever done is available right now. It has Hawkeye up through number 20, which is, I think, the most recent trade. It covers LA Woman, the story.
Yes.
So Marvel Unlimited, if you have thought about it, it's good. It's good, especially if you're into Daredevil.
Sweet. So as soon as I catch up with my podcast editing, I'll get on that. All right. Are you guys ready to listen to some Chloe?
Yep.
At all.
So, Lauren, you went to a con about a month ago now, right?
Yeah, I guess. Oh my God, time flies.
I know. We just haven't been able to get to this audio yet. So, you recorded some audio at Chloe Bennet's panel at Comicpalooza.
Yes, I did.
And is there anything in general you want to say about the panel before we get started with the clips?
Well, she was adorable,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all kind of a blur.
Do you remember who the moderator was? I couldn't pick out the voice.
No, I think she was just somebody there from the con.
Okay. So we have, as we've been doing all along, we have some clips to go through, and there will be clips in the post-credit scene, the outtakes. So are you guys ready to listen to the first one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Hi. I was wondering, since you're a hacker, like on the show, are you actually that good with computers, or
No.
or do you just like stuff?
Not at all.
You stink at using computers?
I mean, I'm awful. Like,
Oh.
I had to go to the Apple Care, and I was like, my iTunes isn't working. They're like, just click it. And
Like when you were like, whenever you're using your laptop on where you just like.
I type in, I type, Chloe is the best. Chloe is the best. Chloe is awesome. So if you see me in like really serious scenes, and it's like, it's me just typing Chloe is awesome. Chloe is awesome. Over and over again.
You can try that at work or school in your case.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now I remember who the moderator was. He's a radio personality here.
Okay. You had tweeted that, by the way. Chloe's awesome. Chloe's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
I'm actually glad that she does that, because it really annoys me when you just see people smashing random keys. I think I've talked about this before.
Yeah, yeah. And, would bother me a little bit less if it was like the Marvel keyboard keys that we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, she's just typing Iron Man, TARDIS, Dalek, Cap Shield.
Yeah, whatever looks pretty, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the next clip here, and I'm going to play it.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
Good. So what was your favorite part in the second half of the second season when you had the powers and could just push people away?
It's awesome. Here's the thing. It's really cool when you guys watch it and when I watch it after we shoot it, but in real life it looks like this. And nothing happens, and you have to, then not only do you do this, but then you have to pretend like something's happened and you go, and it looks really dumb. So you feel really dumb when you're doing things, especially the scene when I moved mountains, because I was just staring at mountains and like getting really emotional and excited about the mountain that did nothing. So it doesn't feel so great, but it's awesome. My favorite part was definitely the one-shot kick-ass scene that I got to, Thanks for starting that clap. I see you, girl.
As a filmmaker, that was one of the coolest shots I've ever seen.
Thank you. We were really proud of that. We have the best stunt choreographer, and Kevin Tantrone, who directed that episode. That was actually his idea, because it was originally in the script it said Sky shoots 2 Hydra agents, and they were like, let's make this awesome. And so we did, and I actually broke my arm shooting that scene. You can see it happen in this shot, or I can, because I can see my face is like, ow, and trying to stay in character, but at the end I do this roll on the cement, and I'm supposed to get up. I'll do an impersonation. I'm supposed to get up and stand up and then shoot him, but instead I go like this, and you can kind of see it a little bit at the end, so you should rewatch it.
All right, well, have fun in season 3.
Thank you.
So, Laura, what were the hand gestures that she was making at the beginning of that clip?
Okay, so picture exactly what she's doing on the show, except absolutely nothing is going on around her. So I want everybody who's listening, no matter where you are, if you're at work, if you're in your car, or wherever, to just throw your hand out in front of you like you're trying to make stuff move, but absolutely nothing is happening. And if you want to, jazz it up a little bit, try to make a face like you're really concentrating. And that's what she was doing.
Well, I do that every day. I try to experiment with my force powers every single day, and it never works.
I know, right?
Jeez. And Ferris, listen, I know you haven't seen the second half of the season. Let me tell you, elevator scene, hallway fight scene, the garage scene, the scene that she was just talking about, that is the singular best scene ever on broadcast TV.
Really?
It's pretty awesome.
And full disclosure, we watch it as a family, so that kind of complicates it. But still, I managed to watch 13 episodes of Daredevil before I thought twice about Marvel,
The second half of the second season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., well worth it. I would heartily recommend that you get caught up on that. So, she was also asked a question about her favorite Marvel movie. So here we go.
Hi. Again.
My name is Justin. I've been watching since the pilot. The show is awesome. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Assuming you've seen all the movies, what is your favorite Marvel movie?
Marvel movie?
Yeah.
You know what? I really loved Guardians of the Galaxy. I was really surprised. You never know. They made another movie, and I was just laughing so hard throughout that movie. I loved that movie. Yeah.
Good choice.
Thank you. Good question.
Good soundtrack, too.
Oh, I have the whole soundtrack. The beginning, down, 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 down. Yeah. Sorry about that. Won't do that again. Hi.
Gotta love that soundtrack, right, Haley?
I still love that soundtrack.
Well, who doesn't?
If Pitch Perfect 2 hadn't just come out, that would probably still be all I'm listening to.
I have it on in my bathroom in the morning when I'm in the shower. Love it.
I have not seen Pitch Perfect 2, but
it's fun.
You don't watch
like
Game of Thrones, do you?
Yes, I do. It's like 75% as good as Pitch Perfect, I would say.
Yeah, but it's still fun. 75% as good as Pitch Perfect 1 is still a lot of fun.
Well, I am in love now with Carsey from the big undead episode of Game of Thrones.
And she's in it. She's Commissar.
She's in. So it's suddenly very high up on my things I got to see list.
Yes. No, she's great. And yes, her character is great. So
she's something about her.
Sweat smells like cinnamon.
That entire infatuation is my favorite thing in the entire movie.
It was so great.
So yeah, she's amazing. I want to see it now.
All right, so we got a couple more clips left, and
yes,
let's go for it.
Hi. When did you realize that the show would be focused on Skye and the Inhumans?
I don't think I ever really realized it until I'd be watching it. I was like, oh, there's a lot of me in that. And the Inhumans. But I think after the mid-season finale, after I did that dramatic moment with Trip's death, unfortunately, I know, Trip. He's still alive in real life, so that's actually more important. But I think after that point, there was a huge turning point and kind of introduction to the Inhumans. Yeah. Stay awesome, man. You're welcome.
Trip's still alive!
In real life.
In real life, yeah. More important, yeah.
I guess.
And then talking about all of Skye's awesome powers, she has some great things to say. So here we go.
Hi again. Doesn't she look good? Look at her shield outfit.
There were lots of cool ways that Skye used her powers in season 2, and like when she made the water go twirly out of the faucet, that was one of my favorite parts.
You know, you can really do that. You really can.
Really?
Yeah, that almost was a practical effect. Like it almost really happened. But you can do that. You can manipulate sound waves with speakers. Isn't that crazy?
Awesome.
That's what she does.
So cool. I'm so gonna try that.
Huge nerd moment for me.
I'm gonna make a huge mess in the kitchen. I'm such a nerd. I'm so gonna do that. But what was your favorite one to do or the most fun to film?
Definitely in the woods. When you first really see her take out the entire woods, you know, Bobby is running towards her and she just goes, ah! It's kind of by accident, or how we wanted to play it was that someone shot at her and her immediate reaction was just to instinctually put up her hands, and she takes out the whole forest and kind of sees what she does, and she has this moment of kind of just being in shocked and overwhelmed with the power that she has. And there was a hint. I wanted to make sure there was also a hint of kind of, that was awesome. You know what I mean? Like a hint of being scared and shocked, but at the same time, like, whoa. Skye, that's very season 1 Skye, kind of being impressed by everything, and I wanted to make sure that was still there.
What, invisible?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a good line reading. Nice.
I love that.
Oh, she was great throughout the entire panel, and there will be more clips in the outtakes. But yes, that practical effect, I have an inkling to start trying it. So definitely good panel, right, Lauren?
It really was. She was very sweet the whole time. Mm. And I was hoping to live tweet more of it, but I didn't find out until right when I was about to leave the convention how I could connect to the internet better. So...
Yeah, cons are notoriously bad for internet connection. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we do have more of the panels coming at you from both Dallas Fan Expo and Comicpalooza, and just wait for them in the weeks to come, right?
Yes.
All right, so let's move on to news. Woohoo! We have some Age of Ultron updated numbers.
Right. Okay. So the domestic box office right now is at $438.9 million. And the worldwide box office is at $1.35 billion.
Billion.
No, I did not stutter. That is a B. Billion.
Well, you're the same person that thinks Star Wars is going to get $3 billion.
No, I said 1.8 billion.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think that's unrealistic at all.
Ferris.
Yes, sir.
So we've got this running bet going on the GonnaGeek Network about what is the opening weekend take going to be for Star Wars, and what is their total box office run going to be.
Man, what's the record?
Yeah, okay. So the record is Avengers, the first Avengers, for the first weekend at $207 million, and that was in May. The previous record in December is $84 million. But this will air the Wednesday the week before Christmas. and go through Sunday. So I think they're going to take that whole weekend for the box office.
So the previous December is what, 87 million, you said?
84 million, and Disney's projections are 250 million. Their projections were a little high for Avengers 2. They were at 215, 219, and they pulled in 187, I think.
Well, Christmas is rough, and Avengers 2 landed at a really unpredictable bad time. There was a lot of other stuff going on that weekend.
Yeah.
So
there was that big fight that Disney claimed stole 9% of their box office.
Yeah, so that's tough. If it were May, I would say 250. But Christmas and the holidays, I mean, you're subject to, as they say in the legal arena, force majeure. There could be a bad snowstorm.
I mentioned that. Yeah. Only us in the North think of these things.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Eastern United States could not be in play. I'm going to guess, is 150 taken?
That's pretty low, but I don't think it's been taken.
I'm going to say 150.
Okay.
I think if it were May, I would bet the 250, but because of the weather, potential complications, Christmas shopping, holiday travel, I'm going to say 150.
Okay.
Shattering the current December record.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to guess at total box office take? Or maybe you can come back to us next time with that. How about we do that?
If it's good, I can totally see, was it Lauren that guessed 1.8?
I don't remember what I guessed.
I don't think you actually guessed a total box office number, Lauren.
I think I probably just guessed all the money.
Yeah.
If it's good, 1.8. If not, probably closer to 1.
Okay. Well, remember Avatar, they came out, a little bit after Christmas, right? The week after Christmas, but they only lost 1.5% from week to week. And I think that's what Disney's banking on, is that it's not going to lose much. It might not, even if they do 250, right? It's not going to lose all that much in the second week. So they're banking, if their logic stands, they're banking by New Year's to have $500 million in the bank over Star Wars. And it's not like they don't have a lot of money invested in it, because they spent over $4 billion gaining the property to begin with. So they need a payout. All right. So we got $1.35 billion in Avengers Age of Ultron. And Haley, do you happen to know where that stands in the all-time grossing movies?
It's 5th worldwide. And I would like to remind you of something. I said a while back that I thought that Avengers Age of Ultron was going to beat the first Avengers movie worldwide, but lose domestically.
Okay.
And it does seem to be on track to do just that.
Wait, I know I'm just new to the conversation. I'm sure you've covered this before, but long story short, what was your take on Avengers 2? Were you happy with it? Unhappy?
I was much happier with it at the time than I was after I thought about it for a while.
Yeah. It was kind of wrapped in the middle. And if you were watching season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time, there was some playback back and forth. There was no direct playback. It was indirect, and it played well together. But after I will agree, it's lost a little luster in my mind, especially, I'm even just listening to our podcast, which was number 72 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. You can go back and check that one out. And in just listening to the conversation that we were having and then reflecting upon it and the scenes that we were talking about, it was no Winter Soldier, but it's still one of my favorites. Haley, you even yourself mentioned it was in your top third. I don't think it slipped.
I don't think it is anymore.
Oh, so second?
I don't know. I think of it more as a middle of the pack movie now.
Okay.
The more I think about it.
See, I've only seen it once, partially because I've seen Mad Max 3 times at this point.
Yes.
But I think that it might be better than the first one. But what I've been saying is that it's not as impressive the second time you land on the moon. So you mentioned it losing its luster. The wonder of the first one was that it was good, that it could be done. And the second time, people expect that. And that's certainly a curious phenomenon in art, where people want the sequel to make them feel the way they did when they experienced the first one. But you can't do that, because the first time you had never experienced that before.
Well, there were things that were in the second movie that you couldn't have done the first time around, like the whole party scene. That wouldn't have happened in the first movie.
Yeah.
So they did explore some different things as it went on. But I think the whole mega villain of Loki coming in versus Ultron, which would just popped up. Loki we knew going in. Ultron was like there. I mean, you could argue that we had known Jarvis, but we didn't know Ultron. So think about your takes on it, and we'll come back to it next time you're on, Ferris. So I saw a news story here that Marvel Studios are going to skip San Diego Comic-Con.
Didn't they do that last year too?
Yeah. But I know for a fact, because I listen to Gallifrey Public Radio, because I can't get enough Haley, is that Doctor Who is coming back. And so is Warner Brothers. So some people are not playing and some people are. And then another thing that occurred is there was a flash mob on a very subject that we have been covering over and over again.
Yeah, the hashtag We Want Widow campaign. So
what is this?
Yeah, we've been complaining for a while that there is very little Black Widow merchandise, official merchandise, I should say, and that where we would expect it to be, like, oh, you know, the scene where she launches out of the Quinjet on a motorcycle, she gets replaced with, say, Iron Man, who totally needs to ride a motorcycle. So a fan named Kristen Riley started a campaign called We Want Widow and started up flash mobs in front of Marvel and Disney headquarters and on social media. That's where the hashtag was, on Twitter and on Tumblr. And it was pretty, I don't know about successful, but it was, I mean, you can't really judge the success until we start getting a lot of official Black Widow merchandise. But it was pretty widespread.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that somebody's doing something about this, and I'm firmly behind this campaign. So I definitely do want some equality in this stuff. Like, Ferris, you have a couple of girls. You don't have a son, right?
Right. 2 girls.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter, you know, what they end up being. You would want them to have the same opportunities as everybody else, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't mind having a Scarlet Widow doll or two, you know?
Yeah.
Because she's awesome.
She is.
And, you know, what's offensive to me about this is how they give it this veil of pseudo logic. They say, well, you know, women toys don't sell. Well, you don't really, quote unquote, make any. So they can't really sell real well, can they?
Yeah.
Well, no, they don't sell. Well, did you make any? No, but they don't sell.
Yeah, they claim market research.
Right. The same thing with female-led action movies or superhero movies or anything like that. There's no audience for those movies. How would you know? You don't make good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what's his face? Was it Avi Arad or the head of Marvel Studios who cited...
Avi Arad.
Yeah, he cited every terrible woman property ever made. Like, well, Supergirl was a real flop. You mean the 1984 movie? You didn't just seriously do that, did you? Like, you're not allowed to open your mouth in public anymore. You have to go away now.
Just let Kevin Feige do all your talking.
And then I think we've talked about how somebody who allegedly used to work with, I forget if it's Disney or Marvel marketing, said that supposedly Disney bought Marvel just to be the quote-unquote boys division of their marketing.
So they have all the Disney stuff, and that's the girls.
So they don't really prioritize girls marketing,
right?
Because they have that lockdown with Disney princesses, because we know all girls love Disney princesses. Shut up. I don't care that I love Beauty and the Beast. I also love Black Widow.
Yeah.
And what was the box office take for Lucy? Like, I'm looking that up as we speak.
It wasn't very good, actually.
It was fair. It beat Hercules, which came out, I think, the same weekend or maybe the weekend before.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, directed by Luc Besson. You know, who was looking for that movie? You know, it's a minor miracle it took in as much as it did.
Yeah, I honestly listened to Legends podcasts about it because, you know, my time is pretty valuable and I just don't want to waste time if it was going to be a flop. So that was one of the ones that I was just waiting. You know, I'd love to go see it if it was good. The trailers look good, but it was just on the cusp sort of thing. And they came back and they said, oh, it's good, but, and okay, so I will see it, but I'll wait until it comes out on DVD or streaming somewhere and I'll just watch it in my house when I have time.
126 million. So 126 million from a director you're not looking for and a low profile property. I mean, it got a decent media push, but certainly not like a Marvel backing.
No.
So
Tron did better. And Tron was canceled. Ugh, I'm so pissed at that still. If we haven't mentioned it before, I'm pissed at the fact that Tron 3 was canceled. Okay.
Well, you've seen my solution for this, right?
No. Go ahead.
We have the third one directed by George Miller. Because who better to revive a 30-year-old genre property than George Miller?
Oh, yeah?
Worked for Mad Max.
Yeah. I have yet to see. Haley, have you seen it? Am I the only one?
I haven't seen Mad Max yet.
Oh, woohoo! I have company.
Y'all need to see it.
Well, you don't like good things?
You're talking to two people who have multiple podcasts that still have to edit and get out, so.
No excuse. Go see it.
All right. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next news story, which is about headphones. And Iron Man is getting his own headphones. And we talked about this during the Avengers Age of Ultron podcast, where I was saying that I can't believe that the Hulk is wearing Beats headphones because they're not good headphones, right? Everybody thinks they're good headphones, but they're not good headphones. There are better headphones that are flashier, work better, look better, or whatever.
That's expensive.
Yeah. And, of course, the ladies pointed out that, well, it's just, it's Tony Stark. He just wanted to get something that was flashy for his Science Bro. And, all right, but he still could have gotten something better. He should know. He's a scientist. He knows what works and what doesn't work for audio, or supposedly. So anyway, I'm taking a look at these headphones, SMS. We'll see what they turn out to be. I'm not entirely thrilled about them, but, it is what it is. I just had to slip that in there because, I'm a headphone tech geek. Okay, so Operator tweeted us, and have you guys seen what he tweeted us first before I say this?
No.
Okay, it was a few days ago, and he tweeted us, and he said, or actually it was today, and he tweeted us, and he said, Season 3 premieres on September 29th, 2015. Yay!
Woot.
So, the frontier is coming closer, ladies. The frontier of Season 3.
Hey.
So will that be the same kind of thing, like the front half and then a whole season full of
10 episodes?
Agent Carter and the back half?
Yeah, we got hit with a couple of things like State of the Union address, and I forget, there was a couple other things. And so they doubled up on 1 week, and they skipped another. So I think there's time enough to put 10 episodes in there.
We have a breaking comment from the chat. If he's talking about the same thing that we were, Adam Nelson says that Lucy had a budget of $40 million and made $458 million worldwide box office.
Yeah, the one number that's never accounted for is how much they actually spent in marketing, and that is literally in sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. So I don't know if it was actually profitable or not. We'll see. I would guess it would be, but I don't know. Okay, talking about people that are profitable, Henry Simmons has been up to a season regular for Season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Woo!
Yay, science babysitter.
Yeah. I'm the guy that's going to kill Gordon.
Yay, I'm so glad he's staying.
Right. Have anybody has a chance to take a look at what Haley Atwell had to say?
What does she have to say this time? Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay.
So she was in an interview, and she was teasing her romance in Los Angeles for Season 2 of Agent Carter. For those of you that don't know, Agent Carter is moving from New York to L.A. for its second season. And Haley Atwell also crashed the set of Captain America Civil War. I don't think she did any filming. She just wanted to crash the set and see her homies.
Yeah, the pictures were hilarious.
She's great. Oh,
she
awesome.
Really is.
Her panel was so fun to listen to. It was just great. And once again, thank you very much, Eric, for getting that audio and great video, which is on our YouTube channel. It is awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate that. And then there was another news story about how The Rock reveals how Haley Atwell is his TV crush.
Well, isn't she all of our TV crush?
That's
really?
what I was going to say. Yes. Right, Haley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been talking about Daredevil. Have you guys seen the Season 2 logo?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, with the bullets, because...
Go ahead.
Rhymes with Punisher.
Yeah, John Bernthal, who people may know best as Shane from The Walking Dead, has been cast as Frank Castle, the Punisher, in Daredevil Season 2. I squealed and did a happy dance when I heard about this.
It's going to be so cool. It kind of fits his persona to me. I mean, it's like the pinnacle of typecasting, right?
It's pretty awesome. And then he was in this like noir type show on, I think it was TNT, right after he left Walking Dead. And I mean, it's going to be great. I'm really looking
Did you
forward
watch
to this. No, I didn't. I've meant to, and then I could never remember when it was on. And I kept forgetting to record it. But I remember the commercials.
I'm very, very excited about this. I mean, the fact that the Punisher is rumored for the next round of Marvel shows. And if it's going to spin out of Punisher, or if it's going to spin out of Daredevil, that makes me very, very, very happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ray Stevenson from Rome, the previous Punisher, I thought he would have been perfect given a different script or a different director. I think he got a bad deal. I
had a lot of fun with Punisher Warzone. It wasn't great, but it was fun.
Yeah, I thought he could have nailed like a dramatic Punisher.
Okay,
but I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure our man here will do well as well. You know, if the Daredevil people are connected tangentially to the Punisher, it will come out well.
Okay, so Lauren, you have to explain this to me. Well, how significant is this title change for Jessica Jones?
Okay, so by title change, we mean that they are dropping the AKA from the title. So it's no longer AKA Jessica Jones. Now it's just Jessica Jones. And I'm fine with this. I think it was originally just AKA Jessica Jones because they couldn't call it Alias, which is the original title of the comic that she was born in. And I'm fine with calling it Jessica Jones because that's who she is.
Okay.
That's just, I was already just calling it Jessica Jones anyway.
Right.
So
I don't think anybody was calling it AKA Jessica Jones except for me when I was reading the prompter. So
maybe I'm being cynical, but I think they're scared that a lot of people would be walking around going, "What does Aka mean?"
That's probably a valid concern.
Could be.
Aka Jessica Jones, what?
And for those in the know, these next kind of couple of news stories, it's old. It was after we recorded last week, but it was like right after. So Jason Statham, the rumors came up really quick that he was going to be Bullseye, and then it took a turn for the worse like a couple hours later, and then he came out, he said, anybody could do a Marvel movie, and just it's all green screen, no practical effects, which the people on ATGN on Sunday pointed out, to me at least, is that, well, if you're ever going to do a Marvel property that doesn't have a lot of green screen and it is a lot of practical effect, it would be the Daredevil series, so that's the one you want to be associated with.
Yeah,
I think if somebody shows that guy the hallway scene, I think he would change his mind real quick.
Probably. But in the end, I don't think we're going to see him as Bullseye, so.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm fine if we keep it kind of down to the limited view for right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Backing up a little bit, my first real impression of Daredevil, I mean, he's kind of always been there, but the first time anything ever really turned my head was issue 183 when I was a kid, and that's the famous one that has Daredevil leaping toward the Punisher, and the Punisher with a very big machine gun just firing right.
I have seen that.
So that is like my primal Daredevil image, being tied up with the Punisher. I saw that when I was a kid, and I only had a limited amount of pocket money, so I've never actually bought that or read it. So as I'm breathlessly reading through my Marvel Unlimited here, I'm working toward that point. Like, that's going to be it.
Man,
30 years coming.
I understood that reference. Oh my gosh. That's great. That's awesome. Okay, we talked a little bit about this last week, but there was a little bit more depth to it. Hugh Jackman talked a little bit more about why he's done with Wolverine and stuff. And of course, there's the eating thing and whatever, but also he referenced something that Jerry Seinfeld said. And
what is the deal with Wolverine? Is he a Wolverine or is he a guy?
But Jerry Seinfeld said, always leave your audience wanting more. So I think he's at that point where he just doesn't.
How does he wipe his butt with those claws?
Very carefully.
Yeah, he has somebody else do it.
He puts a little toilet paper on the end of one and just kind of really carefully.
He just uses bidets. That's all. He doesn't use.
And that is what sank Hugh Jackman out of the X-Men franchise.
Bidets?
Exactly.
Bidets of future past.
So if you're interested...
Damn it!
It took the team to come up with that one. We also...
So if you're interested in X-Men Wolverine, go ahead. Click on the links. They'll be in the show notes.
Tweeting it.
This is interesting. Fox pulled all the digital downloads of all the rest of the Fantastic Four films ahead of the reboot release.
They're trying to make it like they didn't exist.
Well, I was like, come on, really? I mean,
come on, just let us see shirtless Chris Evans.
I know, Chris Evans would be a great selling point. Look, Captain America was in our movie before. Whatever.
Have you read the conspiracy theory on this one?
Which one?
Yeah, there's
on the Fantastic Four
about Marvel pulling all the stuff out of the comics and everything and toys.
Yeah, like their kind of big picture strategy for doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fox ain't going to win this one eventually. Well, we'll see what the box office take on is. It's too early, right? You got to actually go through it. Yeah, it's like NFL, any given Sunday, you actually have to play the game. But I don't anticipate Fantastic Four pulling in great numbers. So they might be forced with the Fantastic Four part of their franchise to pull a similar thing what Sony did with Spider-Man and try to reconnect back with Marvel. We'll see how that works out. But X-Men seems to be doing just fine under the Fox umbrella, and they can hang their hat on that. So, Lauren, what you got here? Thor and Ghostbusters?
Yeah, some late-breaking news. A little bit earlier tonight, Paul...
Wait a minute.
Feig?
You said late breaking news, so we got to do the thing.
Okay.
Am I the only one? Come on.
News.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Paul Feig, the guy who directed Bridesmaids and is going to be doing the Ghostbuster reboot with the all-girls Ghostbuster team.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They have found their receptionist. Their receptionist is Thor.
Yeah.
Yep. It's official. It's on his Twitter. And I think that's kind of awesome.
It is.
Yes.
Like Stephen Amell in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's awesome.
More awesome than that, I think.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough.
Because, I mean, much as I love Stephen Amell, I'm not sure even he can save Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Very true. I was just going to say, I don't think if Michael Bay is involved, okay. So just one more news story. We have Marvel's next big thing. There is no reboot coming. It's from a special edition of comicbook.com. Go ahead and read it if you're interested in the comics. It's at length actually about what's coming up with Marvel and what their plan is. So that's awesome. Maybe we'll hear a little bit of it from Neil's Marvel moment.
Also, there's a preview of Lando #1.
Nice. And there was a few Star Wars things. You can go ahead and click on the show notes links, see that. There's an X-Wing quadcopter. Star Wars is going to show up at Comic-Con, which is interesting since Marvel pulled out. And non-related, Nathan Fillion is confirmed for Halo 5. So we are on a network, and I just want to point out two things. We have a podcast on the network called Tyrion's Landing, which I believe...
Very good podcast.
3 of the people on this podcast have guest hosted.
Yep. I haven't ever actually been on Tyrion's Landing.
Oh, but you're still in the feed, though.
Right.
It's the same feed. Okay, so we'll claim the Tyrion's Landing feed. 3 of us, not me, have been on it. So they recorded an episode with Lauren this week.
Yes, they did.
And Lauren from Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. joins the crew of Tyrion's Landing. We talk...
Wonderful episode, too.
Right. We talk flying dragons, the proper weight of snow, and... What?
Agamemnon.
Thank you. And the Roman Colosseum. Don't miss Lauren's rant about the inevitability of Stannis and his decision this week. We also play another rousing game of translating Nikki speak. So go ahead and catch that. Are you guys ready for some feedback?
Ready.
Lay it on.
It's like we're going home. So, operator tweeted us that great thing. And, have you guys seen the picture that was in the tweet? It's awesome. Returning to duty. Yeah. Mr. Pericletes tweeted us a few things. First of all, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey article here, and it'll be in the show notes. It's all about time travel and stuff. And I just added to that in our show notes. If you haven't had a chance to catch this season of Through the Wormhole, which is season 5, it's on the Science Channel. Episode 2 was Can Time Go Backwards? It actually talks about all the same stuff that's in that article, so it's great. And it aired on May 6th, 2015. And does anybody else here watch Through the Wormhole, or is it just me?
I watch it every now and then. Now.
What's that, Lauren?
I watch it every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, mostly when I flip channels and I'm like, oh, it's on.
Yeah, I've been watching it on the treadmill. Ferris, what were you saying?
No, I wish I did. I was unaware of it, but it's sure as frack sounds interesting.
It is. Some of the episodes are bigger hits than not. Like they talked about basically a Matrix-y sort of life. Like, are we in the Matrix right now? And there was a lot of video game stuff with that. And Jay, of course, is big into video game development. So I told him about that. He's like, no, I haven't seen it. And he's going to pop it. And I'm sure as soon as he watches it, he's going to be, oh my gosh, this is so great. So there you go.
I'm not big on the Matrix theory, but I'm a sucker for time travel, and hearing educated people talk about it makes me very happy.
They pull a lot of expert opinions from all over the world, and it's great seeing what's going on. They literally go all over the world too. They go to Antarctica to look at the neutrino collector that's like 3 miles under the ice, or 3 kilometers under the ice, and they go to Russia, they go to Europe, they go all over the place. All the continents are hit, and all the experts worldwide are hit. So it's a pretty good series. I heartily recommend it. So
do they rerun those?
On the Science Channel, yeah, they rerun just about everything. You just got to catch it. They also have a couple other series that I want to start watching too. And I saw the National Geographic Channel on Monday nights is having the minds of how America was made sort of thing. like the experts in America, and they're talking about different things from, I'm trying to remember the competition of how we had with the USSR, now Russia, over getting to the moon. So that was one of it. And there was other technology fights and stuff like that. So a lot of great stuff on the more educational channels like Science and National Geographic and stuff. You should go check it out. It's great. So thank you very much, Mr. Pericles. I did not see that article before you tweeted it. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed reading it. Richard, he goes by @KodiakGWC on Twitter, basically tweeted us a picture here of Shane and, a little comic depiction. And it, pretty much almost a little less hair in Walking Dead, but, he looks about the same there. And it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm seriously looking forward to him being the Punisher.
Yeah. And then there was some tweets down the road, and I'm just going to call Neil. Neil, he almost had to do that awesome segment this week because this tweet, he tweets us and he says, Frank, Mother, effing Castle. Now I want them to cancel Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Power Man and do season 2 of Daredevil.
They can do all of them.
No, there's room for everybody.
Silly man.
The immortal words of David Lee Roth, in addition to, not instead of.
So thank you again, Neil, for that awesome segment. And
awesome segment, though.
Yeah, that tweet. You need to delete that tweet, buddy. You just delete it. Just pretend it didn't happen.
No, it can live in infamy for how wrong it is because we can have room for everything.
I want it too. Don't get me wrong.
Is it objectively wrong?
Objectively wrong.
Okay. And for those of you that are looking for season 2, Shannon, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2 will be available Netflix Instant starting tomorrow. So by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be a week or two out, but there you go.
Really? That soon?
Yeah.
So I can clear off my DVR.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we got a great voicemail from a longtime listener, first-time caller. You guys ready to hear it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey folks, Thelonious here. My daughter turned me on to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and is a long-time listener to Legends and the Wholesome Addiction podcast. I downloaded all your back episodes and have quite enjoyed listening to them. I've never been much of a comic book reader, but you folks inspired me to see what I could find in the way of Marvel comics in the library. I found a trade paperback of the first 10 Avengers comics from 1963. It was quite different than what I expected from seeing the Marvel films and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. Iron Man starts out looking like a yellow Cyberman from Doctor Who without the head handles. He is said to be gleaming gold metal, which is odd as iron is gray. I guess Brass Man just didn't have the same ring to it. Then in the third book, his look changes completely without any mention. He looks more Wolverine-ish than the modern Iron Man. There's also a teen brigade, which are not in the films. They seem to be having an internal power struggle, as it's led by Rick Jones for the first few books. Then without any mention, he's replaced by Rick Brown, who looks and acts just like him for one book. Then Jones takes back the position. I wonder why all this takes place off camera and we don't get to see the internal power struggles of the teen brigade. That could be interesting. I was most distressed with the team's two druggies, Ant-Man and Wasp. Those two are constantly popping pills, even right in the middle of a fight. Disgraceful. Ant-Man should be called one-size-fits-all man, as he can be either tiny as expected, normal-sized, or for most of the villain battling, he's Giant Man. I also don't understand why he turns his girlfriend on to the drugs to get small, but he doesn't let her take the drugs to get really big. Wasp is where the 60s sexism really is showcased. Not only does she have only 2 sizes, she never does anything except flirt with Ant-Man and Thor, or fly in front of one of the baddies' face to distract him during a fight. After one battle, in which she never appeared, she says she went to powder her nose while the men did the fighting. I can't imagine Black Widow going for a leak during a scrap, but it's right there in the comic. Oh well. Love the show. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much for that voicemail, Thelonious, and welcome to the Marvel Club.
Yay, welcome.
Astute insights.
I will just say, Stan Lee, notoriously terrible at remembering his own characters' names.
Yeah, that's actually true. Also,
I
my
swear
husband,
I have not been sent here. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
My husband, who's a huge Iron Man fan, can't read early issues of Iron Man because he cannot stand the look of early Iron Man armor.
What were you going to say, Ferris?
I swear I haven't been sent here by Marvel. I'm not financially affiliated with Marvel Unlimited, but in the time it took to listen to that voicemail, I pulled up Marvel Unlimited.
Yep.
And Avengers issues number 1 through 402 and then some are available with your monthly Marvel Unlimited subscription.
Nice.
So if you want to check it out, it's there.
There you go.
And no, Mr. Sithwich is right. Marvel Iron Man, your early armor does not look good.
There you go. Mr. Sithwich. Has he ever been called Mr. Sithwich before?
No, but I'm going to start calling him that now.
There you go, Scott. So named by the Ferris. All right, and then we get to our standing email from Andy. Thank you very much again, Andy, for sending us this email. He did email us on his first watch, all 12 or 13 episodes of Daredevil. And it was interesting. He did have that same quote that we all had too. A woman that can be bought isn't worth having. That had to have been the most memorable point of dialogue in the episode because we all just remembered it. And then he goes on to talk about how Fisk was so soft-spoken, but basically popped the guy's head off. So there you go. All right. I'm out of feedback. Do you guys have anything else?
Nope. I think I'm all talked out.
All right. We're going to walk this one out.
Well, as Fisk shows, as always, it's the quiet ones you got to look out for.
Yeah. Here we go. Woohoo! We made it! It was a little bit longer episode, but we made it! Yay!
Yay!
Okay.
Yay.
Woohoo! Join us next week as we discuss Daredevil, Episode 5, World on Fire. And I'm almost, reticent to say the guess because I'm not sure if Haley got it right or not. But Kier from GPR.
Hey, you know what? I checked this time, and I'm almost positive I looked at the right episode.
Okay, there you go. Kier from GPR will be joining us again. It would be awesome.
Oh, he's good.
He is. Now, I like you too. I like you very much, Ferris. I like Kier too. So there you go.
I like y'all.
Anyway, you can get us at our website, legendsofshield.com. If you got something to say, please send us a voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. Again, RIP the bus, and I'm not changing the voicemail. 844-843-2871. We have a Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and a YouTube channel, which you can see that awesome panel from Comicpalooza on there. And forums.GonnaGeek.com, or search for GonnaGeek, all one word, on your Tap Talk app. Find us on Spreaker. We're all over the place.
If it's GonnaGeek, it's good.
There you go. So please go ahead, give us a voicemail. That would be great. If you're international like Thelonious, go ahead and email me an MP3. It'll be awesome. I'll play it on the podcast just the same as a voicemail. Keep it under 2 minutes, though, please. So thank you very much, Ferris. It was a joy, as always, to have you on a podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Haley, Lauren, we've been circling each other for a long time on the internets and stuff, so it's good to finally have an extended conversation with you in person, more or less.
Yeah.
So, Ferris, if somebody's looking for you, where do they find you?
Cheapest thing, if you want to check out my bullcrap webcomic, suburbanmetaldad.com, or Twitter, just DXFerris. D like David, X like X-ray, Ferris like Ferris Bueller. And that is a random, relentless barrage of my bullcrap.
And I do believe that you have a couple of books on Amazon.
Yeah, if you like the heavy metal, if you like Slayer, I wrote a couple books about those. If you have a kid that takes martial arts lessons and you want to learn to maximize their success, we can help you with that too. If you're into Freemasonry, look for me on Amazon.com, and we got a book for you.
There you go. So I just want to say thank you to all our listeners on Mixlr and on YouTube. We really appreciate you guys stopping by and joining our chat. It's always a lively discussion every single week. There's always some great conversation that goes back and forth, and people like Adam pull our butts out of the fire with actual numbers.
Thank you very much for being able to do the hands-on research faster than we can.
Yeah, it's awesome. So even though we all have smartphones and computers in front of us, tablets and laptops, whatever, we're busy podcasting. So
the chat people and the Uber fans really make a difference. So
they do.
Thanks for being there, and thanks for caring.
We appreciate you, listener, very much.
Yeah, and I want to thank Andy for his time capsule of emails that he sends us every week. Those are an awesome thing to read. And Thelonious for his awesome voicemail.
And I want to thank everybody that gets a hold of us on Twitter and follows us on there, whether it's during a live tweet or whether they're sending us links, whether they're just kind of hanging out with us. We love you, and we love hearing from you.
So a couple of things there. Lauren, you do live tweet on Twitter the Daredevil episodes at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on Tuesdays, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then we haven't heard the clip yet. It will be in the outtakes, but they asked who live tweeted Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. during Chloe's panel. Did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you should have. Okay, so you will hear that clip in the outtakes. So thank you again to everybody. We do this for you. Thank you, listener. We really appreciate you downloading the podcast and listening. Until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
I'm Agent Lauren.
I'm job applicant DX Ferris.
We'll work on that, and we'll get back to you next time, Ferris. How about that?
Want my laminate.
Bye. See you guys next week.
Peace.
Later.
Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to GonnaGeek.com and you'll find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or GonnaGeek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.
Chloe, you play a strong female character. We are in the 21st century as we look for equality and parity, not only in the workplace, but in the world. How is that to be a female inspiration to so many people around the planet?
It's awesome. You know, we have a really kick-ass female cast, and you know, our showrunner is female, and we also are Asian. We have 2 Asian American leads. Yeah. Which I think is pretty impressive. That's never really happened, and you know, it's really exciting. I'm really proud of the show so far. You know, people were kind of giving the Avengers a bit of a bad rep for, you know, not giving Scarlet enough stuff, but I don't think our show was fairly portrayed. I mean, we really only had pretty much one fight that had all males. The rest were all females kicking ass the entire season. And no one talked about that. Yeah, you know. So I'm pretty proud. Joss is really good at, you know, making sure our female characters are different. You know, in lots of shows, females are catty to one another, and you know, with S.H.I.E.L.D., one of the first things he said to me, he's like, it'll never be catty. You know, Simmons and you respect each other, you acknowledge how good you guys are at each other's jobs. Obviously, I'm obsessed with Elizabeth and Simmons, so that makes my job easy, but from the beginning, it's been a huge priority. Yeah.
Did you read comic books as a young person?
I didn't as much as I do now, because once you're in them, it's awesome. Like, you know how you guys like reading comic books? Imagine if you were in them. It's really weird. But it's, and then you look exactly like Angelina Jolie in them, which, from Hackers. But it's really fun. It's cool to read that. I don't want to say which ones I read because I'm pretty sure they draw a lot of the show from certain comic books, so I'll keep that a secret. But
yeah. So I have there's sort of a related question. The first is, you guys have a lot of fun behind the scenes. We always have photos on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on when you guys are live tweeting the show, which I love to live tweet the show.
Oh, you do?
I do. Every
Who
week.
else live tweets? Do you guys live tweet here? You do? Awesome! Hi.
So I was wondering if there's a particular fun story or anecdote that you want to relate to us, just to kind of give an idea of the camaraderie that we see all the time.
By the way, if anyone hasn't caught up on the season, I'm probably going to have some spoilers, because you should have been caught up by now. It's been a while. One of my favorites was this season. Clark and I were very close, and there was an episode where the whole team was back together in the Quinjet, and we were crashing as part of the debris trying to reach Hydra. And Clark put a fart machine under my chair. Like one of those automatic ones. So we had guests come onto the show. Like, we had our executive producers brought like family guests, and they were introducing themselves, and it was like loud and like silent, and like weird, like wet ones were happening. And everyone just thought I was ripping ass the whole time. It was really, really fun. And then we brought it to the table read that day, and everyone was there, like all the executives and all the writers, and I put it under my chair. And in the middle of the show, when we were reading it, it was like a really serious moment. It was like, and everyone looked at me, and like, Henry, who plays Mac, was like, "Oh Lord, you have too many brothers." It was really funny.
And so, as sort of a follow-up, since you and Ming-Na both speak Mandarin, do you ever...
I've lost a lot.
I was wondering if you ever use that to, like, plan things.
The first season I was better. I've lost so much. Now, memorizing lines has made me worse at Mandarin. That makes no sense. It's not a good excuse. But we used to, but we actually can't understand each other. I'll be like, I'll say something, and then she'll say something, and then we're like, that's not right. We both don't think, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
Yo. Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you for coming to Houston. Of course, you look gorgeous as always.
We met already.
Yes, we did. Hey, you remember me. All right.
Of course.
That just made my life.
Best day ever.
So your career kind of got started a little bit differently. You started in music, sorry for mentioning that, and then moved over into acting. When your career kind of started, did you ever see yourself, did you ever want to do superhero stuff? And what was the feeling like when you got the call that you were going to be a superhero?
I actually did. I come from a family of all boys, and growing up, I was much more interested in kicking ass and being part of a team than ever being a princess. So my dream was really to kind of kick ass and be one of the boys, or just be a tough girl, not be one of the boys. And so I was really excited when I got the part. I auditioned about 6 times, and I auditioned over the span of 2 months, and I screamed and cried and freaked out and peed and pooed and just not kidding. I was really, really exciting. It was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We all appreciate it.
Thank you. She has a S.H.I.E.L.D. tattoo on her butt. I do. I saw it. I showed her my butt. She did. Look at it.
Okay. First off, I'd just like to say I was at Emerald City Comic Con, and I was the girl that they cut off the line right in front of me to ask you a question.
No.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Redemption.
And you look awesome.
Thanks.
She looks hot.
Okay. So, I was wondering, you are gorgeous. Do you have any, weird fan stories?
Give her 24 hours.
Yeah. I don't have weird fans. You guys are actually all really awesome. I really don't have many weird fan stories. I think I'm weird. So, there was someone once when we were shooting who... we were shooting on a location, and I was running to my trailer, and someone just kind of came out of the dark, out of nowhere, and I thought they worked for our show for some reason. I was like, I'm just go to the bathroom. And she was like, she started crying, and I realized she does not work for our show. But she just came from the darkness, which is what scared me. So, and I was alone, so that startled me. But she was really sweet, and now I know her because she's around. Well, now that I think about it, she's around a lot when I'm out. So that might be weird, but whatever.
Well, stay safe.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
I've been S.H.I.E.L.D. training, so I'm okay. Elbows and knees, ladies, if you need to kick ass.
Don't hurt her too bad.
Thank you.
So Sky has evolved over the course of 2 seasons, and what has that been like for you as an actress? And could you have predicted where she would end up now when you first got the role?
Not at all. I had no idea how much Sky was kind of involved in the show, and when I got cast whatsoever. And no, I could not have predicted it at all. But it's been amazing. I mean, they've given me so much material comparing Skye at the end of season 2 to the pilot, she's like a completely different person. You know, she was kind of a bohemian, anti-government hacker living in a van, and now she's half S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, half Inhuman with bangs. And, you know, she's had weird Hydra boyfriends and and has almost died and has gotten shot. So she's grown so much. It's given me. It never gets boring at work at all because of that. But it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Bless you.
I was wondering, was there any other girl character that you wanted to play
on the show?
Yeah.
I was looking into people that I thought I could possibly be when we were shooting, and I didn't know. And I thought I was maybe Mantis or She-Hulk. I was like, I'm strong enough for that. Obviously not. But I kind of did some research, and then once I became aware of who Daisy Johnson was in the comics, I kind of was like, oh, I think that's her. So I'm really glad that I'm not anyone else. I'm very happy being Daisy Johnson. I think she's awesome. She has a cool, yeah. She could have really helped out the Avengers. The Avengers 2. Right? I think so. Right? Yes. Let's get that going.
Hello.
Hi, little nugget.
I was wondering, who is your favorite character besides yourself?
God, I have so many. The first person that comes to mind is Fitz. I think Fitz and Simmons, every scene that they're in, I think they just do such a great job together. She likes Fitz, that baby. And I really love Fitz and Simmons together a lot. Do you like Fitz and Simmons? She's like, kind of, yeah. Thank you.
Chloe is awesome.
Chloe is awesome. Seriously, go look almost every scene in the first season. I'm for sure typing it. Hi again.
Hello, Miss Bennett. My name is Tim.
Hi, Tim.
I just wanted to let you know that between how well the character is written and the level of awesome that you bring to the character, that they'd be fools not to add you in that second string of Avengers that we saw at the end of the second movie. You deserve to be a part of that.
Thank you so much. I want that to happen. Is anyone here from Marvel?
Hey! Being an educator, I always like to ask people, did you have a favorite teacher growing up, or did you have someone that inspired you?
I did. I went to a Montessori school when I was a kid. I don't know. Yeah, you went to Montessori school. And my teachers were a huge part of why I think I'm here today. I mean, they really encouraged me to be creative and to write, plays when I was in school. And I don't think I'd be here without Wendy. She was my teacher. We called them by our first names in middle school. Mr. Mosier, and definitely. And teachers, thank you. Let's get it right.
Celsius.
So important. Thank you. Hi.
I'm Bella, and I love Skyward.
You ship Skyward?
I do.
Who else here ships Skyward? Skimmins?
I have a question from my friend Rachel. Sorry, I'm a little scattered. My friend Rachel has a question that I'm asking for you. She says, she wonders if you have ever put thought into or had discussions about Skye's backstory, like what her teenage years were like, because we see things on the show, like the pickpocketing, that suggests that she had a rough time and a very specific kind of lifestyle. So she wonders if you put that into Skye's character.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of who she was before S.H.I.E.L.D. is why Coulson kind of thought of her as special in the beginning, and especially in the beginning, I just looking pictures back at when we were shooting the pilot, I remember being in such a headspace of who she was as like a teenager and kind of being on her own and really just making things work for herself. And I love when we get to see moments of the old Skye, like pickpocketing with her dad, the cell phone, and moments like that. And she had such a hard time parting from her van in the first season. So I definitely have like in my mind, if I have specific scenes that kind of relate to her being a teenager, definitely. It's really fun to kind of have a whole background story for her. And I hope they do an episode coming up of everyone before we meet them. Do you know what I mean? I want to see, you get a peek of Fitz and Simmons at the Academy, you know how they're rock stars at the Academy beforehand. But I would love to see like an old school version of everyone before the show finds us.
Yeah,
that'd be really fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I showed the trailer to my 9-year-old just out of curiosity, and she was like, "Ooh, can we watch that?"
The pilot leaked.
I still have not watched the trailer yet.
You haven't seen the trailer? Oh, it's so good.
Okay, I've had a spinal tap.
Yeah,
I've been job
yeah.
hunting. It's been a really interesting couple weeks for me.
I gotcha. It's a good. The extended trailer is really good, though.
Like the 6-minute one you're talking?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there a longer one?
No, that would be it. Well, the longer one would be the leaked pilot.
Ooh, yep. This guy directed some really good episodes of Vikings North and
He
Black.
did, didn't he? Look at his full filmography and look how far back it goes.
I'm looking.
What did he direct? Viking what?
He did a bunch of episodes this year and last year of Vikings.
Really?
Yeah, he did The Dead, The Wanderer, Lord's Prayer, King's Ransom, whole bunch.
Well, I love Vikings.
Oh my God, yes.
That's pretty
I finally caught up. Woot.
Oh, he did some episodes of Copper.
I tried liking Copper more than I did.
Ooh, he did his Xena. He did the Ides of March for Xena. Awesome.
Oh, that's the one where Caesar dies. Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, no. Holy
YouTube.
Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. And Tech War. Oh my God. Holy Tech War. And Sci Factor. Wow.
Wow, yeah, this is a pretty good resume here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at
Rescue Me. Wow, he's been all over the place. Yeah, so I can talk about that scene all day if you want to, or not.
You can talk about whatever you want.
And I, like in general, I think I'm going to do just what I did last time I was on, I was talking Arrow. I'm just going to hang back and follow you guys as lead, and you let me know what you need.
I need you, Ferris, all day.
Here for you. Last week I was watching, with my kids, I was watching She's All That. I don't know if you guys
Yeah, you were.
And I swear it was with them. Foggy turns up in that. Like,
Yeah, he's the best friend.
Yeah.
He's Sookie Stackhouse's best friend. There's a really good We Hate movies of She's All That.
Really?
From a few years ago, yeah.
Did you guys get my tweet a couple days ago about the ER credits?
Yes. Yeah. No, I knew Alice Kingston was on it because, that's where I first knew her.
Right. Same here.
And I knew that Linda Cardellini was in it towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I did. That took me by surprise when I saw her.
Yeah,
I was like,
she was in it for like the last 4 or 5 years, I guess.
No, I completely forgot. Completely forgot she was in it.
Yeah, she was kind of like the pillar of it in the last few seasons.
Yeah, she kind of took the place of
Abby, who took the place of Nurse Hathaway.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, I don't remember the actress's name.
And
see, I was going to say chick that used to be in a relationship with George Clooney's character.
Yes, her.
Which
and then
one?
had his babies.
Yeah, it had his babies.
The one that ended up happy with George in Seattle at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good wife.
Yeah.
She left ER because she didn't want to do TV anymore.
Because she thought she was going to get a big movie.
Ghost Ship, and then 15 years later,
Ghost Ship.
ER again.
Oh, I forgot all about that movie. And I think so did everyone else.
That was a movie? That's what I was thinking.
That wasn't.
But she landed well, so I guess that's all that counts.
A lot of people said that The Good Wife was the best show on TV for a long time.
Yeah, people love that show. Nobody likes it a little bit.
Kind of funny. the chick from Bend It Like Beckham, the main character, was on ER for a long time.
Yeah.
And the chick that played her sister was on The Good Wife.
Really?
Yeah.
It's God, I forget her name. That was a prime example.
Yeah, Parminder Nagra. She's now on something else that I was just watching, where she's playing like a stone cold badass, but I don't remember. God,
Really?
what was I just watching?
I want to watch Bend It Like Beckham again.
I know, I love that.
She deserved the ER
Me
money,
too.
and I'm always glad to see her, see anybody get work. But man, they could just not think of anything to do with
I know.
on ER.
The Blacklist. She was on the Blacklist.
Just the other day, one of my kids asked me what Google Plus was, and I said, I don't know. Nobody's ever quite been able to explain it to me.
Facebook, if nobody used it.
There you go.
A lot of tech people use it, though.
Yeah, because it's functionally better than Facebook. It's just nobody's there.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Paul Bettany linked to the Jason Statham thinks anyone could do a Marvel movie. And he's like, oh, okay, thanks. And someone tweeted him and said, seems like a bit of a knob, to be honest. And Paul Bettany tweeted back, plus there's a physical toll on these movies. I got a nasty scratch eating a Reuben at craft service. And then tweeted a picture of a scratch on his hand.
Oh, if he ever wants a Marvel job, or a Disney job, he's gonna have to apologize. That's just stupid to say that.
On the upside, Paul Bettany seems to be a cool guy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he's the Vision now.
Yep. And I mean, he was Jarvis before, so you know he's cool.
Yeah, but his girls actually get to see him on screen. They didn't believe he was in the movie.
I know. I love the story of Bring Back Purple Dad.
Oh, that was what was wrong with my laptop. The stupid freaking update was trying to run on it.
Oh, God, I hate that.
It's hit all our computers in the last couple of days at the most inopportune times. Ugh. And then the Windows 10 reservation thing pops up, which I'll probably do, but I'm like, I'm not going to do it right away. If you're a podcaster and you slip your OS in the first month or two of release, you are crazy. There's going to be driver issues galore, and I'm like, I don't know.
I think if you're anyone and you do that, you're kind of nuts, because
well, there's some people that like to
wait till the first service pack.
Right. There's some people that have extra PCs laying around that they try it just for the heck of it. I'm like, no, not me.
Yeah, I'm a never update anything guy.
Yeah.
And I think it generally saves
That's a brilliant plan.
Well, you know, it works until it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, Scott's grandpa, I think, was still running, what was it, like Windows 95?
Is that possible?
Wow. I had ME on an old laptop, but I took a sledgehammer to it. It had pissed me off so much, and it was worthless anyway. So I was like, yeah. And now I have a useless netbook because it won't Skype. It's a 2009 machine, and it's saying it's too slow to Skype. I'm like, what? Can't use this for crap.
No, I believe in that. I'd love the office space.
Yeah.
See, I have a printer that when I'm done with it, I was going to keep it lying around, but I'm gonna not only shoot it, but I'm going to shoot it in front of some of my other hardware so they
teach them a lesson.
You guys.
Yeah. I might take mine up to the cabin this summer and shoot it because it's pissing everybody off. I know Sean has actually done that, though. He's taken his printer out to the backyard and he slammed it on the patio and he's taken a sledgehammer to it. I know he's actually done that. So Shannon watched the whole thing.